For many generations, Nigeria's prosperity has been attached to its God-given natural resource buried underground. The nation's oil and gas industry took another turn when the global price of the commodity plunged in 2015, affecting the country's money bag. Not only has the treasure chest drained, Nigerians have had to deal with the continuous hike in price, which in another sense has affected fuel supply. A commodity the citizens depend on to power their electricity generators for business and comfort as the country keeps struggling with inadequate power supply. The full deregulation of the downstream sector of the country's petroleum industry by the federal government in 2016 pushed the price of petrol to 145 naira per litre. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Pt.1, insists the policy change in the oil sector is to increase and stabilize the supply of the product, while any Nigerian entity is free to import the product, subject to existing quality specifications and other guidelines issued by regulatory agencies. Several months after, citizens still have to wait for hours at various fuel service stations across the state to get premium motor spirit, PMS, or diesel for their daily usage. On the 4th of December, the nation woke up to scarcity or non-availability of petrol products. At every service stations, long queues were seen, and many motorists had a tough time getting this product. But the federal government was worried and ordered the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources to address the situation within a short time. According to the minister, the major cause of the fuel scarcity currently being witnessed across the country is shortfall in supply of petroleum products. He further explained that some of the private sector players involved in the importation of the product had pushbacks, which meant that only the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation is importing the product. However, he said that steps are being taken to ensure that the queues disappear by the weekend.
There was obviously some level of gap in terms of volume. And that gap arises from the fact that NNPC is the only one who is importing a product currently. Most of the people who were expected in private sector to import product were not able to bring in products. And some of them have pushed back on the days they're able to bring products into January. And so you have NNPC rapidly trying to fill up the product requirement to 100% capacity basis. Now, luckily, there was enough some good storage, which they're releasing right now. They're also taking emergency steps to try and fill whatever gap that they see in the December period. Post-January, not so much of an issue because most of the deliveries expected should be coming in. I understand, in fact, for December, we're looking at about four cargoes coming over the next few days.
Mr. Kachukwu states that the federal government has no intention of reducing fuel prices, but promised to fix the nation's refineries by 2019.
The refinery in Kaduna has been streamed, so that is beginning to produce right now. So that should also help the product situation. Additionally, Port Harcourt is also streaming. It is expected that about the 12th to 14th, Port Harcourt will be able to get into production. Once they do that, there's about 2.1 million liters of production per day, and that should sufficiently provide a very big boost. So that's also been Fasten, the head of refineries here, and he's also chasing up on that.
In the last 5 years, the country has spent over 1 trillion naira, that's about $5 billion annually on petrol subsidies. The deregulation of the downstream sector aims at opening it up to private investors to invest in the sector, a move aimed at tackling incessant scarcity of petrol due to importation. But the reverse seems to be the case. Days to the Christmas celebration, long queues are yet to disappear at most petrol stations in Kaduna State, northwestern Nigeria. Scarcity of PMS is biting harder on the citizens.
I thought Kaduna will be better by the time I reached Kaduna. But I saw the area because there are lines actually. But I'm surprised to see this place also worse than the area. So I'm just going back now.
My fear is that from the look of things, things are getting out of hand, it's getting worse.
The major findings are: one, hoarding. And second is tampering with dispensing pumps. We'll try to get to the root cause of this problem. We'll call the owner, we'll force him to open the underground storage tanks, or we cut it and we control and sell the product to the public at government approved price.
The product is now being sold between 250 and 300 naira per litre, even after the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasin, suspended their strike last Monday. The situation remains the same.
It's not our fault. Our manager said we should be selling with that price. We are selling 150 now.
The Department of Petroleum Resources has also visited some petrol stations to ensure compliance to laid down rules of the federal government. Officials of the DPR are inspecting petrol stations in the state capital to ensure service stations don't hoard, divert or increase the pump price.
The problem is that they say we should sell the normal price, but I didn't get it the normal price from the depot. So I just bought it from black market from depot to 170. Then I used to sell I put at 146 for the masses.
In Kano State, the Department of Petroleum Resources is focusing on the ultimatum given to them by the Minister of State for Petroleum to ensure that long queues at about 166 fuel stations across 44 local government areas dissipate.
Out of these 166 stations, there are some that had committed various offenses, and we have penalized about 8 stations so far.
The NNPC has increased the supply of the product from 24 to 44 trucks on a daily basis. In Benin City, the Edo State capital, petrol is being sold for between 170 naira to 200 naira per litre, even as the product remains insufficient for motorists and other consumers in the state.
I discovered that some stations are overselling, some at 150, some at 160. But what we have done so far now, you can see we have to force that to come down to the official government price of 145 per litre.
Long queues can be seen in some filling stations which are selling. The fuel situation in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, is still biting harder, as most of the filling stations don't have fuel.